Hello all, welcome to my channel. Let's start with the C Sharp interview series. So today's topic is functional techniques. So generally what are all the common functional techniques that we have seen in all the programming languages? So there are operators. So operators means all kinds of operators: arithmetic, logical, relational, and iteration loops. So these like for, while, do while and all, for each, and conditional statements. What are all the conditional statements? If else and all. So these are all the general functional techniques that we see in all the programming languages including C sharp. So today we are not going to discuss this. So we will be talking about a functional technique called pattern, so which is a newly introduced feature in C sharp. So patterns are generally used with is and switch expressions. So you will get to understand more about patterns once we see examples. So let's start with the, there are different types of patterns. So let's start with the first type, that is declaration pattern. So what does this declaration pattern is? It just checks for the runtime type. So it just matches, tries to match the runtime type of a variable. So if that type matches, no, it will just assign its value to the declared local variable. So let me show you with an example what I mean. So if I declare a variable called string test equal to hello world, and what I am trying to do here is test is string. So here what I am doing is, here I declared a variable called test, and I told it as a string. So during runtime I am trying to check if this test is a string. So by wording itself you can understand. So it just checks the type. So here it checks the type of the test is string or not. If it is string, then assign this value of this test to message. So here test has value hello world. So this value is assigned to this message. So you can use this message inside this block. So the scope of this message is this block. So this is the declaration pattern. So it just checks the runtime type of a variable. So next is the type pattern. So what does this type pattern does is, it checks a runtime type of an expression. So here it is similar to declaration pattern only, but it is a bit different. I'll just show you with the example you will get. So I am declaring a array of integers, and a list of strings, and let me create a function. So I am declaring it as a generic type, and inside this parameters also I am using generic only. I'll tell you why. So here I am using switch expression. So this is a bit different, not the, I'll tell you what exactly it is. So here, so just wait for some time. I'll just explain you what exactly this means, so that, okay. So now here what I am doing is, here I declared a variable called numbers. So it is an array only, it is an array of integers. If you see here, I declared a list. Here it is a list of strings. So what after this I created one more method called get value test. So here I made this a generic type. So as I told you in the type system that we can use generic type. So here if we declare t, what does that mean is, it just takes the type at runtime. So I can call this method using any type. So here I collection is nothing but it is used with any kind of iterator objects like arrays or collections. So fine, so this is the generic type that I used. So inside this generic type I used a switch expression. So basically you might have seen general switch cases with if you see, you might have seen a switch like this: switch case and some operation and break and then case, some operation and then break and then default. So you might have seen this kind of switch case. So this is nothing different, it's just a modified or next version of this. Is called switch statement actually, which the switch case that we know, this is called switch statement. So we are talking about switch expression. So it is nothing, it is more or less the same only. So here we are just here test switch, test is nothing but the input variable that we are used for comparing. So test switch, and inside, instead of case labels, no, we are just directly declaring the uh, value here instead of case. So this, consider this as case only, and no default break is required here. So what it does is it just checks for the matching test, and if it is matched it will return this value. So here whatever value you can use, you can do it. Here you can perform any operation if you wanted, similar to the switch statement. So here if it matches with list, it will return this value. So this is called a discard pattern. So we will be saying what in detail about this, but it's nothing here. It is just like a wild character or blank character. It is similar to the default in that. So what it does is, now first here it will we are passing test, it will just check for the type of test. If test is an array, it will match with the first case and it will come out of this, and it will return value 1. Next it will check for the type of test. If it is list of string, it will return 2 and it will come out of it. If none of the type is matched, it will return 3. So this is what type pattern means. As I said you, it just checks the runtime type of a variable. So here it is generally used with switch operation. So let me run this. See, here it is returning 1 because I am passing here numbers. So let me pass list of strings. See, here it is passing 2. If you wanted to see the flow, so is it clear? If none of the thing is matched, so let me use list of numbers. Sorry, it's list of int. Okay, let me pass list of numbers to this method. So 3. So let me reiterate this again. So type pattern is nothing, it will just check the runtime type. So here you are passing this test to the switch, so it will just check this type of the test, and it will perform the corresponding operation. So this switch is similar to the traditional switch statement only that we see. So this is the type pattern. So other is constant pattern. So from here mostly we will be using switch expression only. Only is I mean declaration pattern only uses is expression, and all the other type of patterns are used with switch only. So constant pattern is also, so you have to just check these things here. um, it the I mean the matching would be with the value that passed to the switch and the case labels that are used here. So you have to concentrate on this only. So in type patterns, this type is matched against this type, but in constant pattern this value is matched against the constant value that is placed here. So if you see here, I don't need this now. So here now generic is not needed, because as I said, here we will be using constant values directly. So here I can give a constant value. So you can just okay, sorry. Here I am passing an operator. So it just matches that operator and adds these numbers. So something like a basic calculator. So if I wanted to add, so if you see, so it is adding these two numbers 3. So if I give, so it's not that complicated. It is similar to the normal switch statement only that we see, but a bit more convenient and more functional features are provided. So here, as I said, this is a constant pattern. So here what we do is this value is directly matched with the constant value given in the case. So checks if an expression result equals a specified constant. So it will just check this value is equal to the specified constant. That's it. So here you can use int, float, char, string, bool, enum, constant, null, all the user defined, sorry, all the inbuilt types, mostly all the inbuilt types you can use here. And next is relational patterns. So here also the same, it checks an expression result whether it matches with different relational patterns combinations. For example, here if you see, here I wanted to check if temperature is greater than 95. So if it is greater than 105, then it is high fever. Else no fever. Here we just need string. Just pass temperature. Oh shit, it's int. So here what I'm doing is, okay, what it is telling, it's unreachable. Okay. Okay, see, generally, what are all the relational operators that we know? All the, sorry, here relational pattern. Okay, we are talking about relational patterns. Okay, what are all the relational operators that you know? Less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. These are all the relational operators, right, that we know. So here we will be using different relational operators in our case. So that is it. So it will just check based on this combination. So here it will just evaluate this expression, and if it results true, then it will just return this value, or else it will just skip to the next case. So here what we are doing, we are just passing the temperature here 105, and it will just check this temp value is between, it is greater than 95 and it should be less than 105, then it will return low fever, and if it is greater than 105 it will return high fever. If none of the value is matched, it will give you no fever. So basically it is just playing with the different kind of operators and different possible combinations of this case statements. See, here it is. Okay, I didn't give here equal to, right? So let me give here equal to. So if it is less than or equal to and greater than or equal to. See, here 105 I gave, it gave low fever. So here we are just including 95 and 105. If it is in between this range, then it is low fever, right? So this is just a an example or application of this relational pattern. So it's the same thing that we are ringing around. It's just telling you all possible combinations. So here next is logical patterns. So actually we have already seen that logical patterns, it's nothing but using logical operators like and or not in this case statements, along with the different possible relational operators also. So it's already seen. So what does that logical pattern means is, it just checks an expression whether it matches a logical combination of patterns. So if this expression validates to true, then this corresponding case is executed, and it will return this value here. So same way, it will just check one by one case statement. If none of the cases match, it will just go with the discard validator, or at the default case. So next is a property pattern. So property pattern is nothing but, it will just like you can easily work on the nested pattern. So this is actually currently this is not in use. You can, I'll explain you this at the end. So next is the positional pattern. Positional pattern is nothing but, it will just destructure an expression. Generally if you see in languages like Python, no, destructuring was very easy there. So this feature is introduced in C# as well. So here it's nothing. Till now what we are doing, we are passing only one comparison value. So here in place of see here, for case we are just passing one value here. For example, if you wanted to pass multiple values, so I'll try to pass, okay, let us pass salary. So it will just destructure the values. What do you mean by destructuring is? I'll tell you. Actually, here the exact destructuring is not. I mean, I didn't tell you here exact destructuring, but for now, see this example. Then I'll. You. I mean, after this, you will be understanding. So here I am passing this value 1 comma 2. So generally you might I mean you might be aware of this, that this one value is directly allocated to salary 1 and this 2 value is directly allocated to salary 2 when you are trying to call this method. So here salary 1 is 1 and salary 2 is 2, right? So here similar way we are just directly using tuple only in case of this case also. So same way here it just compares this salary 1 is equal to 1 and salary 2 is equal to 2, then it will give you low fever. So this is the way. So this is how we work with tuple. Now okay, now let me create a record point. Sorry. So I am creating a record which has two fields, int x and y. We have already seen what is a record in previous classes. It's more or less similar to class only. So now I'll create an object for this point. Okay. So now instead of 1 comma 2, no, here I'll pass this p1 directly. So here it also should be a point, right? So I'm iterating over p1. But if you see here I am passing a point record variable and it is having 1 comma 2 as fields, but when I am trying here, if you see inside case, here I am not using p1 dot x or I am not referring to x and y values directly. It itself destructures this values to, so it will map first x, so it will just map, okay, it is somehow, so it is something like this. So x value is mapped to 1 and y value is mapped to 2. So p1 has x and y, right? So p1's x is matched to 1 and p1's y is matched to 2. This is what destructuring means. So destructuring is nothing but in records and tuples it is automatic. It will just map its values to its I mean it in the order. So if you see here, what will I get? See, I'm getting low fever. Let me give values as 2 comma 2. Actually it doesn't make sense here low fever and high fever, but for time being just understand the concept. So here we are just passing this record object and here automatic destructuring is done. So this is called destructuring, so which is I mean inbuilt available for tuples and records. But if you wanted to do it for user defined, user defined like class, actually record is also user defined only, but it is inbuilt available for records. But if you wanted to do it for class, you have to declare and let me create a class. So I'll create a class called person. So here let him have an ID also. So here I created a class called person. So now let me create a constructor also. Okay, now I will create a method called destruct. So something like this, it looks something like this. So if you see here, deconstruct method we have to create, which are having out parameter. So inbuilt destructuring is not available for user defined classes, I mean types like classes. You have to create a destruct method. So when you create a destruct method, see here, it is destructured automatically here. If you see, so how that works is, so let me take this. So here we have we just take the parameters that we need. So it should be out parameter. Okay, out is nothing but you will be able to access outside the scope of this function as well. I mean you will be able to access outside the scope of this. Okay, so here what we are doing, we just created a deconstruct method. So this is normal only, we just created a class and class called person, and this person has few fields like id and name, and we created a constructor to just give values to this I mean to initialize values to this fields, and we created a method called deconstruct. So this is used for destructuring values. So inside main, let me remove this now. So I'll just create an object for person now, and I'll give id and name. Now I wanted to get those values. For example, give it id comma name equal to p. See it, now I can directly access id and name. See here, 1 and Swati is printed. It's just nothing, it will just destructure the values. which I showed you earlier. For tuples it is easy, it's I mean it's inbuilt only, no need to do anything from our side. Just how tuples work is, so it's simply destructured. Here 1 is assigned to A and 2 is assigned to B. So here for inbuilt types like classes, no, you have to just create a method called deconstruct, so it will just destructure the values. So this is the positional pattern. So it is it's just used to deconstruct an expression result and test if the resulting values match nested pattern. So this matching here is used in switch. So basically its purpose is to destructure the values. So next is var pattern. Okay, so now if you see var pattern, we have already seen var pattern is I mean it is implicit typing, right? So var matches any type. So when you are not sure during compile time or when you are writing the program, if we are not sure what would be that type, then we can use var. So similar use case only here also. So var pattern just matches any type. So if you see here I declared a equal to 10, and if a is var, so here what its purpose is, it's just checks if a has some value. So if a is var, then put the value of a in results. So and if I run, so it is giving me 10. So var is just an implicit type, so it matches all the any kind of any type. So discard pattern is it just matches any expression which we have already seen earlier in the switch expressions that I showed you. So if you see here there is a discard pattern which we have seen. See here, that is discard. Discard is nothing but kind of default here. And parenthesized pattern is, here you can give I mean or also you can give different types, and you can just check. For example, if you don't want this value to be whether float or double, then you can use this kind of pattern. So list patterns are, this is a parenthesized pattern. So basically this is not the theoretical concept, you have to just understand different use cases of patterns. So basically this is a new functional technique that is introduced in C#, so which gives so much flexibility to perform different kind of operations on switch. So here this is a list pattern. So here it just compares the sequence, so it just tests sequence elements match corresponding nested patterns. So here what it does is, if you see, I'll just execute this here. Okay, so list pattern is actually introduced in C# 11. I think I have to upgrade it to 11 to use this. So basically its purpose is nothing, it just compares. So it just tests the sequence, so it will just match if this value, this numbers has this sequence 1 comma 2 comma 3, so it returns true. So if you give here it is 1 comma 2 comma 4, since this sequence is not matching, it gives you a false. So same goes here, and you can use different kinds of operations as well here. So it just checks the first value is 0 or 1, and you can use discard operator as well. Here you can give discard this way. So what it just does is skip this, whatever the value is, don't compare it. So this is the list pattern. So this is all about functional patterns and functional techniques. So thanks for watching, and in next class we will be going in detail about the error handling. So stay with me for more content on full stack and more content on C#. So thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.